Okay, so good morning, everyone. We begin just by standing at shoulder width. So find a comfortable stance, wide, not hip width, shoulder width. Knees just a little bit unlocked, back nice and straight, arms hanging down by your sides. We start the exercise right from the very core of the body. So we're just going to gently turn to one side and look over the shoulders, then come back to the front, gently turn to the other side. Just allow the shoulders to, allow the belly to lead, not the shoulders. So it really comes out of the core of you. As you turn the stomach to one side, the rest of the spine moves. You turn the stomach to the other side, the spine moves. I'm just going to switch on my fan. This is just hitting 32 degrees in here. Suddenly noticed that. It's the beauty of working inside a greenhouse. Hopefully the noise of the fan doesn't disturb over the microphone. So we're here today doing our healing class. I suppose one of the fundamentals behind the self-healing is the assumption that 95% of all of our problems and 95% of all of our illness is of our own making. I remember Noel Edmonds saying that on a breakfast TV show recently, 2 or 3 years ago, and basically been drummed out of the nation. I think he had to go and live in New Zealand because it was such a unpopular thing to say. It's this assumption, it's this, not assumption, it's this idea that we have to take responsibility for our own health. Well, since 1947, we've not had to take responsibility for our own health in the UK. We've had a health service which has basically allowed us to do whatever we want, and then we'll pick up the pieces for us afterwards. And that's led to, some fairly toxic habits. And it's not unique to the UK, it's everywhere around the world. People have done the same thing. We've allowed ourselves to move more in the direction of, I suppose, enjoyment might be a way to put it, but also excess. It's the fact that you could have a tangerine at Christmas time. Actually, I don't suppose that works because I'm sure there's someone in the Southern Hemisphere with yeah, I suppose that is the point. Having a tangerine at Christmas time used to be something very special, didn't it? My mum used to wrap them up in silver paper. The idea that you could have something like a citrus fruit at that time of year was pretty extraordinary. And now, obviously, you can have anything you want at any time of the year and any hour of the day. You can get anything you want. Have your Chinese snow peas flown in from Kenya. If that's not excessive, I don't know what is. But we've become quite used to the fact that this is possible for us. It's not necessarily good for us, however. And that's one of the difficult things, is that, what's actually good for you and what you actually like are not necessarily the same things. However, modern life facilitates these, I would do air quotes if I wasn't doing my exercise, bad choices in air quotes, not necessarily bad choices, but some of them can be bad choices. I don't know, I suppose the fact you can go to a bakery at, pick up a cake at 10 o'clock at night. When I was a kid, that was kind of an impossibility. You'd have to make it. And so, we have all of these sort of things that we can do now. It doesn't necessarily mean that we should do them now. And so each one of our choices is something that we make ourselves. decide to have another bottle of wine, decide to have another packet of biscuits or whatever it might be. We're making those decisions for ourselves. And of course, the thing that, makes it justifiable is the fact that we live such extraordinarily stressful lives. And we feel that we deserve some sort of relief from the stress. And so the real culprit, of course, is big business and the 21st century and all these things. It's kind of pushing people into habits they wouldn't normally have. However, the buck stops with you. And of course, Noel Edmonds was made, a pariah because he said exactly that. Well, what he basically said was, we're making ourselves ill. On some level, that's correct. And of course, there's society, and of course, there's all of the other things and poverty and so forth. But ultimately, everything we do in our life is our own personal choice. And that's sometimes quite hard to stomach, that you might have got to a place where you've made yourself ill. Let's just look at the, excuse me, let's just look at the other side of it. We're just going to develop this exercise a little bit first. So from this kind of nice rhythm we've got into, let's just slow down a little bit and try and make it slightly bigger. So you look over your shoulder, you just gently use your head in this part of the exercise, and that just makes the whole thing move a little bit more freely at the top of the spine. If you find yourself feeling lightheaded, move your mind to the toes. Experience squeezing your toes against the ground. Okay, so the other side of things are our emotional selves. It's a terribly difficult thing to accept that you are part of somebody abusing you, somebody being cruel to you. And it's a terribly difficult thing to accept that there are two sides to every coin, that there's an interactive game that we play that we're part of. So you might sort of say, how on earth is it possible that a child can die of leukemia? How on earth is it possible that a child can be abused by, an uncle or something like that, and then have to take the blame on themselves? And that does sound utterly ridiculous, I agree. You can't imagine that in this kind of realm. And I kind of agree with that. I think that there's more to this life than just as we see. And in order to justify something as toxic as a 3-year-old child with leukemia, I think you have to look at the Chinese systems that sort of say, look at the circumstances of the child's birth, how were the parents, what were the stars like, all these sort of other factors, even perhaps beyond that, perhaps into a life beforehand, if we believe in kind of like, karma and things like that. The kind of karma idea suggests that you set up something in the life before that you need to work through in this life. It seems a really harsh debt to pay, but perhaps there is something to it, who knows? And there's yet another theory that says that when you die, you go back into a kind of like, teaching mode, who knows where, life between life, they call it. And that you and your friends decide upon, what's going to happen next, how the next life is going to play out. That you're going to reincarnate with all the friends around you, and that you're going to have the certain challenges, and your friends are going to have their challenges, and then you reincarnate. So perhaps that's what governs the fact that somebody arrives and has a sort of a terrible start to life. Who knows what it is, but let's say that it does happen. And energetically, there's this idea that, well, there's no action without another reaction, as it were. And so we end up in this situation where you feel you may have become a victim, something terrible has happened to you in your childhood, and how can that possibly be your fault? Unfair as it seems, there seems to be some precedent for it, and we have to find a way to forgive it. And so that's what we're working with today. We're working with the old patterns, the things that have happened to us in the past, that on the face of it, everything else has done to us. And it's not our bloody fault. How dare it happen? Why is the world conspiring against me? And then zooming out a bit further and thinking, all right, I'll see if there's some way that I can come to peace with those things. I'll accept my part in it, however minuscule it might be, because everything in the world is connected together. I'll just accept that maybe I do have on some level, some energetic level that I don't understand, I have some sort of connection to this problem. And now if I forgive myself and I forgive the problem and I forgive the perpetrator or the situation, then at last I'll be able to heal it. And that's the kind of thing we're doing here today. We're looking at patterns. We're looking at how to release those patterns. You may be in an intractable situation, but if you heal it from the very root, then it can start to change and evolve. Those are the energetics of how the universe works. It may seem cruel, it may seem wrong, it may seem extraordinary, but it is how our universe works, and we need to find a way to come to peace with it and to work out how to let go of it so that we can move on with our lives and heal ourselves. Let the whole thing drift gently to a stop then. Slowly finish this exercise. If you feel lightheaded, you can just plug your hands in the earth and lift up. Let the chi flow down through your body, moving the energy downwards. Do that a few times. Earth energy, heaven energy, poured through your body, helping to unglue and unstick. I think just do that a few more times. I'm just thinking about, this whole thing about being responsible for your own happiness, being responsible for your own life. It's a really tricky thing. It's such a sort of toxic idea in our modern world that, you might be responsible for the abuse you suffered. It's a really, really difficult idea to get the head round. But it is the case that somehow, somewhere at some level, some subconscious idea, you've allowed something to happen to you. And you just think, how ridiculous is that? But there is a truth in it at some grain of, some granular level. There is some sort of truth in there that we just have to accept. And it's such a difficult thing to do. I mean, that is the healing right there. That is the turning point of all healing, is when you take that responsibility and think, all right, okay, so I was in the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong people, but it happened nonetheless, and something must have conspired to make me be there. So, perhaps I can heal my part of that. And when you actually are prepared to look at that moment, that turning point, that choice, that non-choice even, at some subconscious level, when you're prepared to accept that it exists, that is where the healing starts. You unglue these incredibly firm foundations. I think often in terms of gardening, because I do a lot of gardening, and I think about that whole idea. A dandelion is the perfect example. You slice the top off a dandelion again and again, it just comes back. But if you get one of those long pronged forks and go right in at the bottom and take the roots out and lift the whole dandelion and its root out, it never comes back. It's the perfect example for what we're talking about here. It's how do you get to the root and dig it out forever? How do you first have to accept that it has a root, and that in itself is tough to do. But if it has a root somewhere, you can dig it out and you can change your life. Let's do some simple forward and back bends. I find they complement the turns really well. So this is a kind of whole rotation of the spine, gets the spine turning, gets the hips and knees moving, even the ankles, the shoulders and the arms. Get a little bit of sort of, movement. But a forward and a back bend and a side bend really, really work the spine. So whilst we're just taking it much more easily on these healing classes, we still run through this whole idea. We still try and work away with the loosening up ideas, because loosen up your body, you loosen up your mind as well. Okay, so first time down, we can just sink gently down. Keep your knees soft, just roll down, see what your back's capable of today. Don't rush it, take your time. Good, and just sink and relax. So what we try to do is to get the top of the head to go down towards the ground as much as possible. There's a temptation to lift the head up and, try and look at your monitor, or just try and sort of, keep
contact with the ground, but we really try and relax the neck as much as we possibly can. Okay, so when we're down here and the knees are softly bent, we just imagine the the feet split into quarters. The first quarter is the tip of your toes. Just gently stretch down towards the tip of the toes and then release. The next quarter is the base of your toes. Gently stretch down towards that line and then release. The next quarter is your insteps. Just gently stretch towards that and release. And the last quarter is the heels all the way back and release. Let the body hang and relax. Okay, so lifting the tailbone up to point into the blue sky behind you, the legs just straighten a little bit, and then swinging the tailbone towards the front of the body, we start to build the spine up. We try and join our arms and our ears together. So if you bring up the arms and ears together, it creates a great sort of cantilever bend on your neck. Up, up, up to full height. Good long stretch. Now we do some back bends. Release the knees forward and gently lean back. Stretching up and back. Stretching up and back. Stretching up and back. Hands up into the blue sky. We're going to do some side bends. So just let your left hand drift directly over to the side. Feel the right hand of the body arc open. Now the right hand comes down and the left hand comes up. Stretch down the left side and let the right side of the body arc open. Down on the left hand side. And down on the right hand side. Draw the hands up into the blue sky and stretch. Okay, so we begin the whole process again. We're just going to take over the arms and the ears. So just the top of the neck really. Bending over the arms and ears arches the neck. And the arms are parallel to the floor. Then you can let the upper spine bend, the middle spine, lower spine, soft knees, gently down, back of the neck relaxes. Extend towards your toes and release. In line with the roots of your toes and release. Working towards the insteps, gently deeper each time. Release. Back towards the heels. Release and relax. Body hangs. Tailbone lifts up behind into the blue sky. Tailbone swings towards the front as we start to assemble the spine. The arms and ears clamp together. Draw up. Gently lifting up. Stretch up into the blue sky. Releasing hips and knees forward as you lean back. Stretching up and gently back. Up and back. Up and back. Great, hands up into the blue sky. Curl down on the left-hand side. Open the right side of the body up. Curl down on the right-hand side. Left side of the body opens. Down on the left. And down on the right. Draw hands up together. And let's run through again. So you could try straightening your legs now. This will give an extra hamstring stretch. So we lock the knees back. And then we go over head, arms, ears. into the upper back, middle back, lower back. Keep the legs as straight as you can. Let the body relax and hang. Back of the neck as soft as possible, totally relaxed. Okay, with the legs straight, we're just going to extend again down towards the toes. Doesn't matter how far toward the toes you get, just extend down towards them and release. In line with the roots of your toes and release. In line with the insteps and release. In line with the heels. Great, let the body hang and relax. Tailbone lifts up behind, tailbone pushes towards the front of the body. Spine starts to roll up. The arms and ears go up as one piece. Gently draw up to full height and stretch. Knees and hips go forward as you lean back. Stretching up and back. Up and back. Up and back. Stretch up into the blue sky. Left hand curls down. Down on the right. On the left. Down on the right. Good, and then lift the hands up. Last time through, nice straight legs. Tipping gently over. Just the arms and the ears. Now work into the upper back, middle back, and lower back. Settle and sink. Back of the legs. Back of the legs are straight. Back of the neck is relaxed. Extending softly towards the toes. And then release. In line with the roots of your toes. And release. Toward the insteps. And release. Back toward the heels. Good. Body relaxes and hangs. Tailbone lifts up behind. Forward. Spine rolls up. Arms and ears gather up. Gently up to full height. Stretch. Let the knees and hips go forward as you lean back. Up and back. Up and back. Up and back. Down on the left hand side. Down on the right hand side. On the left. And on the right. Okay, good. Then lift up hands above. Just let the hands pour, as if pouring chi, as if standing in a beautiful shower of energy. Just release the hands gently down the sides. And then we gather chi. Lift chi up. And pour chi down. So this is about calming and relaxing oneself, about really bringing oneself back into nice and easy balance. Gathering, lifting, gently moving the chi down through the body, pouring.
So we're trying to move an imbalance of chi from your head down into your chest, storing it back in your belly. The idea is that when we feel dizzy, it's chi that's moved up into your head. And so to stop feeling dizzy, you're literally combing, brushing, moving chi fingers through the chi head, down into the chi chest, all the way down to the chi belly. And if you like, you can just place your hands on your belly for a few moments. If you're still feeling that you'd like to keep going, if you'd like to keep going with that exercise, you can. So the point about that is that it doesn't really matter how many times I do it. What is important is you finding your way to feeling balanced. So if you want to do it 10 times, that's no problem at all. So we find ourselves in the standing posture. First of all, let's talk about the standing posture. If you wish to put a chair behind you and at some stage sit down, there's no problem with that at all. It's just good to prepare beforehand so you have the chair there and it doesn't really disturb you. You know, you can just sort of safely sit straight down on it. If you feel like you're going to fall over and you'd rather lie down, well, that's great. It doesn't really matter. Standing, sitting, lying, whatever suits you. The standing posture is good because it helps you to gather lots of extra energy, and it's a very subtle strengthening of the body over a period of time. So it really is a useful thing to do standing. We have our knees a little bit bent, so that activates the calves and thighs. So the lower body is building strength just by standing. But very often we find that it makes a lot of pain in the feet. If that's you, then don't hesitate to give your feet a little move around every once in a while. But do try and stick with it as long as you can, because actually what happens is that after a while, I'm talking a few classes, the sensation just disappears. Your foot just becomes used to it. So sometimes we have to gently push ourselves through things. I suppose it's a kind of like a life lesson. You gently have to persevere. You have to put your shoulder gently to the door and keep pushing. One day it'll open. But if you go to the door and think, oh, well, it's not going to open and walk away, you'll never know. But it's about slowly building up our perseverance, or persevering with something, holding on, gently keeping going, and just thinking, well, gosh, I can only stand for 10 minutes before I have to sit down. Well, that's fine. Rather rethink about that, well, very good, you've stood for 10 minutes, well done. Next week it'll be 20. And so just bit by bit, be gentle to yourself, be kind to yourself. And so the truth of the matter is we're very good at lying to ourselves, of ignoring, what's going on. We can just make up stories that will make our lives kind of sustainable, if you like. But actually, I've mentioned it before, I went to the climate conference in Copenhagen in 2012, and I was talking about sustainability, and a guy turned around to me and he said, you keep on using the word sustainability. Would you like to use that in terms of your marriage? I hope my marriage is sustainable. He sort of said, it's not a very good word, is it? I sort of thought, when I saw it like that, I suddenly thought, right, okay, I like that, very good. Yeah, so we have to want more than sustainable. But we'll do with sustainable to begin with. If your standing posture is sustainable for this class, then that's great. But what actually happens is the more you practice, the easier it becomes. I promise you. I never used to be able to do standing. I hated it. And so bit by bit it comes to you. So what we have to do is just do our best and try and hang in there for as long as we can. When you think to yourself, oh, I've just got to move, just think, okay, well, could I just manage one more minute without moving? And then you can move. So you give yourself this gentle reward idea. So the posture is shoulder width, knees gently bent, hands are on your tummy at the moment, gathering chi, spine long. You can just imagine your tailbone sort of sitting down, like sitting down on a dining room chair, top of the head pushing up into the blue sky. Let the whole body relax. So this is Dr. Pang's 8 phrases. This is how we get ourselves into what he calls a chi state, how we bring ourselves into the qigong place, the best place for us to heal and work from. And so, yep, I just feel inspired to sing Dr. Pang's 8 phrases today, which you may not know, but if you do, you can sing it, and if you don't, you can listen, and I'll talk you through it anyway afterwards. The 8 phrases are 8 lines of 4 Chinese characters per line. It's a standard Chinese poemic form, and here it's been set to music. And it goes a little bit like this. Ding tian li di, sing song yi chong, wai jing bei jing, shen chong mao gong. 一念不起，深究太空，深意交替，就身融融。 就身融融，就身融融。So a Chinese character is a whole set of ideas. It's difficult to translate ideas. So it kind of goes along the lines of this. Feel that your feet can connect into the earth. Imagine earth energy flowing up into your body. Feel that your head can connect into the heavens and heaven chi can pour down into your body. Feel your whole body start to relax. Allow your mind to expand through your body. Take up a humble stance, a soft stance. Clear your mind. We think of the mind clear like the image of a pool of water on the side of an alpine mountain, crisp, clear, reflecting back the blue sky. Now we allow the mind to gently expand. Expand throughout the whole body. Feel into every part of your body. Expand into the chi field round your body. Expand into your room or area that you're working in. Expand beyond into your town, city, countryside, to your county. Expand beyond that to your country, continent. Allow your mind to keep expanding. Expand into the blue sky. Expand beyond that into our solar system. Expand beyond that to our galaxy. Further still, feel the vastness of the whole universe. Mind expands out into the universe. Gently draw your mind back. So we find our galaxy, we find our solar system, we work our way back to our beautiful blue planet. We start to work our way back towards our continent, our country, zooming back in to our town or city or wherever we are, countryside, and finding our workspace, our room, and then eventually coming back and finding a way back into your body and feeling inside your body. What an extraordinary ability your mind has to journey to the furthest corner of the universe and come back inside the body and seek
inside the body. Feel inside your feet and legs. Feel inside your spine and hips. Feel inside your head, your arms. Feel inside your chest. How clever is that? The power of the universe contained inside your mind, your consciousness. So Dr. Pang says that our entire universe is filled with what is called Hunyuan Qi, undifferentiated possibility. Possibility just waiting to happen. Your consciousness is what drives that change. When you bring your consciousness to bear on a problem, it starts to change. The problem being is that bringing your subconsciousness to bear on a problem also makes things change. So it doesn't matter whether it's subconscious or conscious, we're still making things change. So sometimes we can use our subconscious to damage ourselves without even knowing it. Somewhere in the background, there's a story that says, I'm not good enough. I can never be healthy. I've always been a problem child, whatever it is, some old story that's still going round, something that your parents told you, something that religion told you, something that politicians told you, something that doctors told you, something that people with their own power told you, and you just took on. Thought, wow, they must be right. And at some level, it's buried deep inside. So we have the power to change that. We have the power to visit the other side of the universe. We certainly have the power to change old thoughts. So just think about that, the extraordinary power of you. We do feel helpless and hopeless sometimes. We feel lost in our story. But at any stage, you can stop the film and just say, no, don't want to watch that anymore. You can make a decision to change the narrative. We feel helpless, as if we're just afloat on an ocean of trouble and turmoil. But at any moment, you can switch off that film and say, no, don't want that. I don't want to be on the Titanic anymore. I don't want to be heading for trouble. Just say, actually, I'm going to switch that film off. I'm going to make it different. I'm going to make different choices. I'm going to feel differently about my life. I'm just going to put a pin in this particular story. And now what I'm going to do is start a new one. Right now, make that change. Decide that it's possible for you to shift your circumstances. So I'm just going to tell you about the time I worked in the city. You can't imagine what that might have to do with anything, but hopefully you'll see. I decided to leave my job after 15 years. It was the most toxic job in the whole world. It was killing me. I just thought to myself, what can I do? I won't have an income. This life is going to be a disaster. I've got to pay my mortgage. I've got my children. I've got my wife. It's going to be, how could I possibly leave this job? And I said to my wife, I can't do it. And she said, just do it. We'll figure it out. I thought, oh, okay, right. It's just going to have to take a risk with this, going to have to jump off the cliff. So I went into work that day. I said to my boss, I have to speak to you. He said, okay, let's do that at lunchtime, and then went back to what he was doing. Half an hour before lunchtime, one of my other colleagues went off to a meeting with my boss. When my boss came back, he said, quick, let's go out to lunch. So the two of us went out to lunch, and he said to me, that girl who's just come in to see me, she's left the company. And I thought, what? How can she be doing that? I was going to do that. And he said, so I'm going to give you lots of extra accounts and lots of extra work. And I thought, oh my God, this is going in completely the opposite direction to what I was thinking. So eventually I said to him, I'm leaving too. And he kind of jaw dropped. What? And he said to me, you can't leave. And I said, well, I want to. I don't want to be here anymore. And he said to me, how about if I paid you 6 months and gave you a bonus to stay on? Just work for 6 months and then you can leave. And I'll give you a bonus at the end. And I said to him, all right, great. And that was it. In the end, I worked 3 or 4 months and still got my bonus.
So out of the blue, the universe supported my decision. I had no way of understanding on that day that if I just took a leap of faith, that things would work out. To me, it seemed like the bleakest, most disastrous possible choice. And yet, I stepped forward in good faith, knowing it was the right thing for my life. And the universe said, yep, here we go. And not only that, the day that I finally left my job and thought, oh, well, I've got 3 or 4 months of money in the bank to think about what happens next. The day I left my job, a friend came to me and said, would you like to come and work with me for a few days a week? And I thought, whoa, so that was it. It was extraordinary. Take the risk. Just trust that if you're moving in the direction that everything in your life suggests you should move in, that it's right. Such a hard thing to do. We're stuck in these inertia situations, but we really have to break out to keep ourselves happy, healthy, and well. Whatever it takes, break through the wall of fear. And when you go through that wall of fear, you discover it was just an illusion made by you, and that the universe will support you. But it's just taking that first step. So our Qigong gives us the power to take that first step. We're building up all this energy. We've got our hands on our tummies. We're building all this Qi deep inside the belly. And now we're just going to work on healing some pattern, some relationship, something that's happened in the past. Just going to let it go, let it dissolve, and bring back a new future, let's say. So Dr. Pang says, Wu Wu Bu Hua. That translates as, there is nothing that you cannot change. It's an incredibly powerful idea. Wu Wu Bu Hua. There is nothing that you cannot change. That you as a person cannot change. Mountains may seem immovable, but with perseverance, anything can be changed. You can tunnel right through a mountain. He also says, Wu Wu Bu Shen. There is nothing that you are unable to make happen. Nothing that you're unable to make happen. Just think about that. Whatever it is you need in your life, you can make it happen. Nothing that you cannot make happen. Wu Wu Bu Shen. And his final phrase, Wu Wu Bu Sui. There is nothing that you cannot break down. Wu Wu Bu Sui. There is nothing that you cannot break down. Just feel into those ideas. Nothing that you cannot change. Nothing that you are unable to make happen, to bring about. Nothing that you cannot break down. The only thing that says you cannot break down something is your ego. Fear and the ego, it's a very kind of common combination. Your ego doesn't want you to risk anything that doesn't seem safe to it. But don't forget, you're the person who built your ego. You've made this kind of edifice of protection. So the ego stands there protecting you from the outside world. It's like a castle wall. But if you think about a castle wall, and you think about a siege, people get trapped inside castles. So one day it's keeping you safe, and the next day it's made you a prisoner. So your ego sets up these scenarios. Oh, if we do that, then this might happen. And what will this person say? And how will I look? And what will people think? It's all just your ego. It doesn't matter. Your real self, your true self, is what's required to come through here. To give your true self a real chance to break through. To really be your true potential. To do finally the thing you've always wanted to do. To realize the person you've always meant to be. To don't let the ego hold you in place. Look, I'm not talking about taking crazy risks. I'm not saying that Jeremy said, let's take up skydiving. Because fear also limits us from doing something crazy. Fear stops us from walking behind the football stadium after a football match at 10 o'clock at night. That's fear. It's sensible. Don't walk through the underpass filled with hoodies. That's sense and fear. But irrational fear. Blocking your life, fear. Step through it, watch it dissolve, move on, a happy person. So just remember, as you go about your day, there is nothing you cannot change, nothing that you cannot bring about, nothing that you cannot break down. You are a master of the universe. You are total consciousness. You've just been trapped inside this tiny body, trapped inside this tiny life. So difficult. But now we're going to let those problems go. We're going to dissolve the old rubbish. So let's just bring our hands to hold a little ball in front of the tummy. This is where we use La Chi. So now we have to think about, okay, perhaps it's a person, perhaps it's quite straightforward. You see a person in front of you, a little person, kind of like a model of them. Like, I'm not talking voodoo dolls, but you get the idea. Or perhaps it's a situation like, your a relationship to someone, your relationship to your mother, your relationship to your life, your relationship. And it doesn't matter whether it's someone who is not with us anymore, because the energy stays. And so perhaps if you had a problem with your father, you can always just let that gently dissolve. And when you bring back energy to your life, what are you going to bring back? Well, would there be any point in bringing back the same relationship with your father? Obviously, the answer is no. Because if it's been bad, don't bring back bad stuff. Just bring back good energy. It doesn't even have to feel like anything in particular. What we're doing is dissolving all the problems with this person and just bringing back happiness into our lives. Let go of all the old problems and bring back happiness into our lives. We only need to set our intention like this 2 or 3 times, and then we can just go into the idea of dissolve as we open the hands and bring back joy, bring back energy, bring back healing, whatever it is you need. So we kind of set our intention at the beginning of our La Chi exercise. We only do it 2 or 3 times, because if you're constantly harping on about, oh, the problems I have with my father, the problems I have with my father, that's reinforcing the problem. So we kind of zone in on it first time, pin it in place and say, all the problems with my father, let them go, dissolved, gone. Bring back total happiness. Everything to do with my father, gone, dissolved. Bring back total happiness. Oh, any problems in my life, bring back joy and healing. Oh, open and dissolve. Total healing. So I've gone from very specific to very kind of non-specific. Because if you're harping on about the same problem, you're just pinning it in place. So whatever it is you're working with today, open your hands out and let that problem gently dissolve. See it float off into the universe. Universe is a vast place. It can take any terrible problem and just swallow it up. Now the universe is filled with amazing healing chi. Gently bring your hands back together and feel that incredible energy flowing back into your life to take the place of any old things that you were letting go of. So when we dissolve, perhaps you feel like a kind of a loss, perhaps you feel like a hole, perhaps you feel like something's been ripped out of you, like our dandelion root being pulled out. It leaves a big hole. And then when you bring back You bring back something to fill that hole, some amazing healing chi to fill the hole with energy. So however it feels, be flexible. Open the hands, let all the problems dissolve. Bring the hands back and feel the healing rushing in. We say kai when we open our hands, Chinese word for open, dissolve, let go. We say he when we close our hands, Chinese word for gather, close, bring back. So you can say kai and he if you wish. Kai. Letting go, letting go, letting go. Bring that healing chi deep inside your body. Kai. Kai dissolves you into chi. Bring healing chi back to flood your life. Letting go the deepest level of you. Now we're working at the roots. Dissolve, dissolve, dissolve.
Couple more. Next two are a bit more quiet. The next two movements just in total silence. Eventually you can just draw your hands, drawing a ball back towards the belly. So actually let's just do that slightly differently. Let's just draw the hands back past the hips. Take them out in a big wide circle to the side of your body, out to the front of the body, and now you're gathering a huge ball of chi. Well, traditionally it would have been left hand first for guys and right hand first for ladies, but whatever seems right to you today, hold this beautiful ball of chi and imagine you can squeeze it in through your belly button, deep into lower dantian below, compacting, storing, holding, squeezing all this chi. This vast ball of energy has now got squeezed down into lower dantian, building its potential immensely. This vast field of energy deep inside. Let's just do that one more time then. Sweep the hands back past the hips, flare the hands out to the sides, huge ball of chi gathering in front, drawing this ball of chi slowly back and squeezing it, vast ball through this tiny gateway, du chi extruded deep inside the belly. Vast ball of energy, become tiny and much, much more powerful. So imagine deep inside the belly, this incredible power bank that lives inside of you, that sits inside of you, all this incredible chi you've gathered through this hour. And now it's deep inside you. That is what heals your body, having this vast resource of chi inside. So everything in your body relies on this chi. The more you gather, the more you heal. The more you do your standing meditation, gathering chi, the more you do your standing meditation, okay, let's finish that thought. Gathering chi heals the body. The more you do your standing meditation in a quiet mind, starts the healing process in the body. The more you do the healing visualizations, the more your emotions heal. So standing Qigong is fantastic. Heals you on all sorts of levels. Standing Qigong with La Qi is incredibly powerful for healing old stories. So you can stand and just keep an empty mind and the body flips into healing. But you can also deal with the mind part of the program as well, using La Qi to heal the old hurts. And when we have that top-down approach of healing from consciousness throughout our entire body, and the bottom-up approach of healing the body from the chi field, then everything can heal really quickly. Anything can change. Just in a moment, anything can change. Wu Wu Bu Hua. There is nothing that you cannot change. Wu Hu Bu Shen. There is nothing that you cannot bring about. Wu Wu Bu Sui. There is nothing that you cannot break down. Feel the power of those ideas surging through your life, helping you to move forward from this place, helping you to heal every aspect of being you. Okay, so we can just let our hands gently go down by our sides. Just shake out a little bit, loosen off the body. So draw the hands back onto the belly. Just give the legs a little bit of a shake. Find a comfortable stance. If you want to bring the feet together, that's fine. If you want to stand in the wide stance, that's fine. Okay, so we're just going to draw some circles around the tummy. First set of anti-clockwise circles. Doesn't really matter what way you go, but I tend to go anti-clockwise. They just sort of gather any excess chi and bring it into the belly.
And then we take 3 circles the other way, and that just helps to set the body back to a daily mode. Just let it know that we've finished our healing exercises and we're about to emerge back into life, healed, well, healthy, happy, smiling. Put a big smile on your face. As you stand here, imagine your Wei Qi layer. That's a layer of Qi. It's about an inch around your skin, an inch or two thick. It's like a sort of glowing shield around your body, keeps you safe. And then beyond that, a meter around your body. That's your Wei Qi layer, your Qi body. Your Qi body protects you, but it also connects you into the world outside. So we have ourselves deep inside, your true self, deep inside. And these wonderful fields of energy protecting you, keeping you safe, but also connecting you to the outside world. Big smile on your face, open the eyes, let the hands go, let the feet shake out, let the legs shake out. To finish off, we always have a little salute for each other. First of all, we say how le, how le, how le, and that means good already. Most people say how la. It sounds like how la, but it's actually spelled how le. So we'll say how le, and then that means everything is sorted. So we'll do it 3 times. Hands up in the air. 1, 2. How le. 1, 2. How le. 1, 2. How le. Very good. And then we've got a little salute for each other. Your right hand, you just sort of cup it in front of your tummy, and your left hand on top. And you just let the fingers kind of pull together. So this is called entirety hands. They sort of gather each other, the fingers. You close off with the thumbs either side. And that's Dr. Pang's salute. So Buddhists do it like this. Taoists hold their hands together. And Vision Qigong, we hold our hands like this. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for being here. Really nice to see you all.
Thank you,
Lots of love. Have a lovely day.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Thank you.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Really good
Have
to
a
see
good
you guys.
day.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.